Well, she's another snowy day here in Saskatchewan. Grey Cup week. Usually when it snows, it means it's warmed up a bit. But she's a pretty snowy day out here today. The weather for the Grey Cup's looking for only about -4 and sunny. So they say right now, but everybody knows weathermen. They change their minds every 4 hours. Hard to predict weather. I hope it's only about -4, not the 20 below stuff. Ruins the game. Well, this weekend, teams I was cheering for didn't make her. Teams I figured would win did. As far as the Grey Cup, yeah, I think it'll be a hard task to stop the Blue Bombers from winning 3 in a row. Toronto has a good Grey Cup record. Every time they make it, they seem to win it. But I'm not a Bethel Thompson supporter much. You know, he's either hot or cold, or he seems to miss some passes by 7 miles. And their running game won't be as good as Winnipeg. Oliveira, he really played well yesterday. And I don't know what his combined yardage was, but it was up there, that's for sure. I think he had damn near 100 by halftime. But then they've got Ouellette and Harris. He's come back. It might be enough for. He was always a real hard running back. Might give him the incentive playing against his old team. The little boost he'll need, because if they can't run the ball when the weather gets this cold, it's hard to force the ball downfield passing in this weather. Yeah, Toronto, they have their offensive line. 2 of the guys weren't good enough to play in Saskatchewan. Couldn't afford to play them. Both Blake and Bladdock. And Blake, he's a Canadian too. He plays the tackle position. So never let those guys get away. But Winnipeg, I'll tell you, those guys on the line, offensive line, they're really good at disguising their holding. I've said it for a couple of years now already. And you watch them. They get very few holding calls, and they've always got somebody by the shoulder pads. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. They're good at it. That's all part of the game. But I was pissed off at a couple of calls yesterday. Wow. Every game them refs are something else. They're getting worse, it seems. One pass interference. Didn't even hardly touch the guy. And that was a critical part of the game. And calls pass interference. And a couple are Big Hill came in and smoked Rourke, drove him right to the helmet. And twice he did that. Once he didn't hit him in the helmet. One time he just used his hands and clubbed him in the face. But anything to the face mask is a penalty. You know? I don't know. Hate complaining about the refs, but you sure can see the obvious ones. Yeah, and like I said, about Grant. Said BC had to contain him. They got one, he dropped one ball for a fumble, but he made up for it very next return, runs it back for a touchdown. Exactly what I said. I had to contain that guy. But Rourke, he had, since he come back, he's lost his biggest dimension of his playing, is that ability to scramble and run the ball. It's too bad that injury must have affected it a lot, because he only broke loose a couple times. They're critical times, but before that he was constantly a threat to take her downfield. I think hopefully he can recover and get better, because it's his contract year. He's played out his contract. He's on that rookie contract, and he'll be looking for a lot more. And people are saying he might get a look at the States, but I can't see it myself. He's got the size and he's got a good arm, but if he can't scramble, like, I think his options would be he gets on a practice roster down there. Whether that's what you want to do, sitting on the sidelines in the NFL, or be a starter in the CFL. I think he'd be wise to take the starting job in the CFL somewhere and just get a 3-year contract with a clause that you can go down to the NFL tryout. I think he'd be much brighter to do that. That'll be up to him and his agent. Still lots of people trying to sell their tickets to the Grey Cup. People are mad. Keep your tickets, go to the game. Well, I really wouldn't want to go either if my team's not in it. I used to go to a lot of the Grey Cups. Didn't matter who was in them, but I wouldn't go anymore. If the Riders would have been in it, I would have found a ticket to go, but there's no way I'd be going now. Let the Bombers in Toronto pay the big bucks to go to the game. Pretty soon I'll be focusing my attention to the NFL. I watch it pretty closely now, but I might put a few reports on what I think is going to happen down there. That's to me, that's real football down there. A lot of people in Canada here, CFL fans, they think NFL is not that good of football, but it's the best football in the world as far as, you know, by far. Those players now are getting bigger, stronger, faster. They're just unbelievable. Real violent sport down there, boy. A lot of big boys playing for big bucks. But as far as my prediction for the Grey Cup, I'll see who's injured, who's not. Zach got a little dinged up. Looked like he hurt his ankle a bit. Looked like it was a high ankle though, so shouldn't be no problem. He'll be playing. That'll be the only way that Toronto can win, is again win that turnover battle and put Collaros on his ass and stop that running game somehow. They have to be able to stop that running game. If they're allowed to run the ball like they did against BC, it will be game over. They'd have to make some wild and crazy plays to keep up. please like or dislike, but most of all, comment down below. I really like listening to your comments. I'm getting a lot of interest, even a guy from Brazil and people from the States. It's just great to know that people around the world are actually watching our CFL football, because we need all the fans up here we can get in the CFL, make our league even better. A lot harder for this old timer to walk here. She starts getting deeper and deeper and nobody's walked through here yet. It gets pretty snowy. Can't lift my feet high enough to end up plowing too much. Oh well, dog keeps me going, gets me through the winters. I have to give a big shout out to the Bomber fans that were at the game yesterday. And even Toronto had a pretty good crowd, but the Bomber fans showed what you can do by making a lot of noise when they're when your opposition's on offense. It can make a big difference. Lots of times Rourke couldn't even be heard in the huddle, and they took a couple time count violations. That's mainly on the crowd. Those are big penalties that the crowd made. I blame a lot on the coaching at the end there though. Like before BC got the ball back at the end, there shouldn't have been any discussion on what the plays were going to be. Those should have been all mapped out. Everybody should have known what they're doing as soon as they went on the field. That was a big mistake that kills a lot of time themselves. But big shout out to those fans. They made a big difference in that game. And here's a bit of advice. I was at the Husky game this weekend at -18. The biggest advice I'd give you is take something to sit on, even if it has a cushion or anything. These are just metal bleachers at Griffith Stadium, but same as Ryderville. Those seats, plastic. Take something nice and warm to sit on to keep your ass warm. That'll really help you out. And don't drink beer like I tried. It just freezes too fast unless you guzzle her down. Have a whiskey instead. Getting more snowy out here all the time. We couldn't get rain all summer, but we're having no problem getting the snow. I would rather have the rain. You don't have to shovel rain. Well, until next time, y'all take care and stay warm.